Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're reacting to the side of the GOAT debate that everyone misses, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James by Basketball Universe. I'm excited for this one. Y'all told me to check this out in the comments below. I'm in my deep dive era of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I started watching ball in 2010, for those who don't know, who are new here, and I never did my due diligence of going back. I'm a Kobe fan. I'm a LeBron fan, but I want to be a Jordan fan because I care about the game too much to not look at old legends. So hey man, let's check this puppy out. Hopefully this is a great video. I want to learn, dude, and I hope that this helps me learn why MJ is the GOAT over any other player, specifically here, LeBron James. Let's go.
When you think you have heard it all, when you think you have heard every argument and every angle of this ongoing debate, I present to you a new twist.
Okay.
A new line of argument that could put this heated debate to rest for good.
Dude, can we get an interview of these two sitting down with each other? Or like a documentary of these two talking to each other?
Before we get to that, let me first present the premise. Surely, you've heard many of the Michael Jordan supporters point to the 6 titles that he has over LeBron's 4 titles. I'll admit, that's a lazy argument, simply because there are a variety of factors to consider when a team wins a title. There's the fact that it's a team achievement. Then you have to consider the competition, the era they played in, and injuries, just to name a few.
Yeah.
However,
I'm with you, bro.
Have you really considered why Michael Jordan was responsible for so much team success? Let's put aside their individual greatness, numbers, and accolades.
Okay, we putting aside finals, individual greatness, accolades, everything.
For this discussion.
What are we doing?
Let's analyze their stylistic approach to the game and how much that had to do with winning.
Okay.
At the beginning of their careers, they were both stuck with rosters that did not have players who could create shots for themselves well.
True.
So the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers relied heavily on their star players to win games. At first, Michael's approach was to score as many points as possible. He had the energy and the skill to score at will while effectively guarding the other team's best perimeter player. In the middle of the 1989 season, he was moved from shooting guard to point guard. He essentially always had the ball in his hands. That allowed him to average 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists that year. In LeBron's case, he worked extremely well with Cleveland's read and react offense. He was blessed with excellent basketball instincts, and he displayed a great balance of taking over games and getting others involved. The offense revolved completely around him, and they were thriving. They even had back-to-back 60-win seasons in 2009 and 2010. This is where we stop and start to analyze their stylistic approach in the next phases of their careers.
Okay. So, I guess fairly similar early years.
In Jordan's case, the Bulls named Phil Jackson as their head coach, and players such as Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were starting to progress rapidly. In LeBron's case, he took his talents to South Beach and formed a super team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. In both cases, they were in win-now situations. In both cases, they needed to adjust to make the most of the talent surrounding them. In both cases, they fell short of reaching their goals for the same reason. In part, they fell back to their old habits. In Michael's case, he averaged even more shots per game than the previous year. In LeBron's case, he did not adapt his game to Wade and Bosh well enough, and he deferred too much to his star teammates. The Miami Heat were trying to build some kind of offensive system where they could use their abundance of offensive talents to overwhelm their opponents. That explains why they were the only team to have 2 players that averaged over 25 points per game. Since it didn't reach their lofty expectations, changes needed to be made to their offensive approach.
I'm really curious where he's going with this.
So they decided to play a half-court offense built around floor spacing for his 3-point shooters. They decided to put the ball in their best players' hands to direct the offense. The system revolved around him, and everywhere he went, his teams were running some version of that offense. Did it work? Of course it did. 4 titles and 10 finals appearances are all the evidence we need. But he wasn't more successful than what Michael was doing in the 90s. In his case, Phil Jackson did not accommodate his playing style just because they had a bitter end to their season. The triangle offense that he implemented could only be successful if all 5 players worked in unison. Everyone needed to be involved. The system does not cater to one player. And to his credit, he bought into the triangle offense. Instead of making Scottie Pippen sacrifice his game as Dwayne Wade needed to do, he was allowed to grow as a player. In fact, his scoring and assist numbers went up for the next 2 years. In Jordan's case, his numbers continued to go down as the years went by, with a few exceptions. For example, his assist numbers went down in the late 90s because he was no longer bringing the ball up the court. He would direct the offense from the post instead. This is more than just a personal preference of which style is better.
I wish this photo could come true.
History says that you could win a championship by revolving your offense through one player. But history also says that you can't be a dynasty that way. From Bill Russell's teams down to Steph Curry's teams, you have to be a part of a system for a team to reach immortality.
Agreed.
For that to happen, you need certain pieces around you to succeed. That we can't deny. But your star player also needs to give a little to allow the other pieces to shine within that system.
Okay.
And it just always seemed like LeBron's teams could never function when he wasn't on the court. Even when they had Hall of Fame players such as Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love.
Okay, is he about to make a LeBron go case here?
Who has had multiple All-Star appearances. For this next stat, we are excluding the 2018-19 season when LeBron missed the playoffs. From 2011 to 2020, LeBron's teams went 15-34 when he didn't play.
Dang.
How can a team that has Kyrie and Love go a combined 4-23 from 2015 through 2017 when James wasn't on the floor? How does that work?
I don't know.
That is because
Tell me.
when you take away a player who is the entire system, the team is going to be completely dysfunctional, even when the team has plenty of talent to make up the loss of one player. But that never happened with the Chicago Bulls. When Jordan retired in 1993, the Bulls went from winning 57 games to 55. In 1997, when Dennis Rodman missed 27 games, Tony Kukoc missed 25 games, and Luke Longley missed 23 games, the Bulls ended up winning 69 games.
Crazy.
And when Scottie Pippen missed the first 35 games of the 1998 season, the Bulls won 24-11,
Wow.
which was the best record in the East.
That's, without Pippen, the best record in the East.
This team was able to thrive no matter what situation they were in.
Yeah.
And that is because Michael Jordan was able to find ways to be himself while playing within a system. It's not out of line to question if that's why LeBron's teams can never be described as juggernauts, except for a few seasons. Just think about this. Michael Jordan was a part of 5 60-win seasons.
Yeah.
LeBron was a part of 3. Now here's the crazy part. He only had one
I guess two.
60-win season after 2011 when he orchestrated multiple super teams. Here's another interesting fact. If you were to mention the greatest teams of all time, your top 10 would surely include the 1996 Bulls, the 1986 Celtics, the 1987 Lakers, the 2001 Lakers, the 1971 Bucks, the 2014 Spurs, and the 2017 Warriors. Players such as Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry, and Tim Duncan were a part of historic teams.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it mean something that the supposed greatest player of all time is not included on that list? Not even one time out of 21 seasons? He is not an outlier. He is not a victim of circumstance. This is all part of a pattern. There's no other way to explain that. His style of play has to hold some of the blame. If that is the case, his status as a GOAT needs to be seriously questioned. You don't have to believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Say what you want about his style of play, but you can't say the same about him. But what about you all? Why do you think LeBron's teams underachieved when he wasn't on the floor? Why isn't a LeBron-led team not mentioned as one of the 10 greatest teams of all time?
I think you could argue the 2013 Heat were one of the greatest of all times. I think they won 66 games. They had a 27-game win streak. They won the finals. I don't know if that one you would consider it.
Let me know in the comments.
Okay, I think this might be one of the more unique arguments that I've heard. Now, what we're arguing here is that Jordan was able to be the guy, the system, and he was also able to fit into a system and not be the system. With Bron, he's only ever been the system. He's never been able to be a part of a team that had a system with him not in it. That's why when Jordan missed that season playing baseball, his team was still good. They still won 55 games. But with Bron, anytime he's not there, his team just like falls apart because I guess he's like his coaches or him or his team have never been able to figure out how to go through Bron, but also exist without him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an interesting point. I think part of it might be there's so much player movement nowadays, and so many players are going from team to team. Like, people don't stick around on one team for very long. Like, the reason why on his early Cavs teams he was able to have two 60-win seasons is because those teams were able to build chemistry year after year after year. But when you go to Miami, year one, you don't have Ray Allen, Mike Miller, I don't think. Year two, you add Ray Allen, Mike Miller. You add those players, and then you switch over to Cleveland. And then Cleveland has to rebuild completely new chemistry, completely new players. And then you leave Cleveland, you go to the Lakers. Now the Lakers got to do everything all over again. I think with Jordan, he was able to stick in one spot, play with the same guys year after year after year after year after year. That's why he was able to build. They were able to build the system with him in it and him without it. Whereas Bron, if he didn't move around so much, he probably could have established that in one of these locations. Maybe if he just went to Miami and never left and just continued to stick it out with Pat Riley and like create a system with the team, that would have happened. But I think this is a fair point, man. I've never heard this argument. It's very interesting. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Do you think that LeBron has a GOAT case issue in specific regard? Like, let's not talk about anything else in the GOAT debate, but specifically how you fit in a system, how you help your teammates win, how you help your team be better when you're there and when you're not there. Very interesting stuff. Something to genuinely think about. So big shout out to Basketball Universe for probably the most unique take I've heard on the GOAT debate. I'm going to keep checking these out, man. I'm having a good time. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments down below. I'll catch you guys later. Deuces!